The final battle took place in the Andromeda Junction, a region of space where several important trade routes met. The Council's last hope, the reality anchor, hung in space like a small metal moon. Around it, the largest fleet in galactic history waited for humanity's arrival. Over 10,000 warships from 47 different species formed a defensive wall around the reality anchor. Every surviving Council race had sent their remaining vessels. Even species that had tried to stay neutral were forced to choose a side. Supreme Commander Martinez arrived with humanity's entire remaining war fleet, only 300 ships. To any observer, it looked impossible. How could 300 vessels defeat 10,000? But these were not the same human ships that had fought at the beginning of the war. Each vessel was a masterpiece of destructive engineering. They carried enough firepower to sterilize entire worlds and were powered by technology that treated the laws of physics as mere suggestions. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the experimental ship Final Solution from the center of the human formation. His vessel alone carried 12 void engines and a prototype stellar render device. Around him, the other human ships waited for the order to begin the last battle. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Rokes, "the Council fleet is moving into attack position. The reality anchor is charging up." Morrison nodded. He had expected this. Human intelligence had known about the reality anchor for months. In fact, they had been hoping the Council would build it. "Signal the fleet," Morrison ordered. "Begin Operation Omega." Space around the reality anchor suddenly blazed with energy as the device activated. Faster-than-light travel became impossible within 100 light-year radius. Every ship in the area was trapped in normal space, forced to fight with conventional weapons and movement. For a moment, it seemed like the Council's plan had worked. Human ships, cut off from their advanced movement systems, appeared vulnerable to the massive enemy fleet dot. Then Morrison activated the first stellar render device, the nearest star, a red giant that had been burning peacefully for billions of years, suddenly blazed with new fire. Its fusion processes accelerated beyond all natural limits. Within seconds, it began the transition to supernova. "Impossible," whispered the Council. "Fleet Commander, they cannot control stellar processes." But humanity had learned to do many impossible things. The exploding star sent waves of energy cascading through local space. Human ships, designed to surf these stellar fires, rode the energy waves like cosmic predators. The Council fleets, built for conventional warfare, began to disintegrate under the assault of forces beyond imagination. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were reduced to atoms by weapons that treated matter itself as an enemy. Morrison activated a second stellar render device, then a third. Within minutes, 9 stars in the local cluster were burning themselves to death, each one adding its energy to humanity's arsenal. The reality anchor, designed to manipulate space-time, became a focal point for the cascading stellar explosions. The device that was supposed to trap humans instead amplified their power beyond all calculation. Admiral Patricia Ross, commanding from Earth's Vengeance, watched her tactical displays with grim satisfaction. Council fleets were vanishing faster than her computers could track. Entire species were being erased from existence as their last vessels burned in stellar fire. "Ma'am," said her weapons officer, "the chain reaction is spreading faster than our projections indicated." Patricia looked at the expanding wave of supernova with interest. How much faster? 2 years after the betrayal, the Galactic Council no longer existed. What remained were scattered species fleeing to the far edges of space, hoping to escape humanity's revenge. Admiral Patricia Ross stood on the bridge of her flagship, Earth's Vengeance. The massive ship was 3 miles long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Around her, a fleet of 200 similar vessels waited for her orders. Below them hung Valdris Prime, the ancient capital world of the oldest species in the galaxy. The Valdris had ruled this part of space for over 2 million years. Their cities were works of art that covered entire continents. Their technology was so advanced, it seemed like magic. None of that mattered now. Open a channel to the planet. Admiral Ross commanded. The main screen showed Ancient Singer, the Valdris leader who had tried to stop the war against humanity. The alien being looked tired and defeated. Admiral Ross, Ancient Singer said, surely we can find a peaceful solution to this conflict. My people tried to prevent the attack on your species. Patricia's face was like stone. Your people voted to exterminate humanity. You may have opposed it, but you did nothing to stop it. Now you face the consequences. What do you want from us? Unconditional surrender. Your entire fleet, your weapons, your technology. Everything turned over to human control. Your species will be relocated to prison worlds, where you can live out your remaining days. Ancient Singer was quiet for a long moment. And if we refuse? Patricia gestured to the weapons displays around her bridge. Then you join the Zelani and the Thorgani in extinction. The Valdris leader closed his ancient eyes. You ask us to become slaves to a species we once considered children. You chose to try to murder those children. This is what happens when the children grow up. Ancient Singer cut the communication channel. 1 hour later, the Valdris Defense Fleet emerged from behind their planet's moons. Over 500 ships, each one a masterpiece of engineering that had taken decades to build. The battle that followed lasted 6 days and changed the structure of local space-time itself. Human ships fought with weapons that treated reality. As a suggestion, void engines tore holes in existence that swallowed entire squadrons of enemy vessels. Quantum disruptors broke apart atomic bonds, turning proud warships into clouds of free-floating atoms. But the Valdris were not helpless. Their technology was ancient and powerful. They had weapons that could stop time in small areas, trapping human ships in frozen moments. They had shields that existed in parallel dimensions, making them almost impossible to hit. Admiral Ross found herself in the hardest fight of the war. Her flagship took damage that should have destroyed it 3 times over. But human engineering had advanced far beyond what anyone thought possible. The ship's self-repair systems rebuilt entire sections while the battle raged around them. On the 3rd day of fighting, Dr. Norton activated Project Omega from her laboratory on Earth. She had been waiting for a chance to test the Stellar Render Protocol in actual combat. The siege of Valdris Prime was the perfect opportunity. The system's primary star began to burn faster and hotter. Radiation levels increased across all planets. The Valdris ships, which had been fighting desperately to protect their homeworld, suddenly found themselves in the middle of a slowly building supernova. Impossible, whispered Ancient Singer from his command center. You cannot control a star, but humans could. The Stellar Render Protocol fed energy back into the star's fusion core, accelerating processes that normally took billions of years. The star began to swell, its outer layers expanding toward the inner planet's dot by the 6th day. Space around Valdris Prime was a maelstrom of stellar fire and exotic radiation. The Valdris Defense Fleet was gone, their ships unable to function in the increasing energy storm. The planet itself began to burn as its atmosphere was stripped away by solar wind. Admiral Ross watched from a safe distance as 2 million years of Valdris civilization came to an end. Ancient cities that had stood since before humans learned to use tools were reduced to ash and memory. When it was over, Valdris Prime was gone. In its place was a cloud of radioactive debris orbiting a dying star. The Valdris species, once rulers of 1,000 worlds, were extinct. News of the Valdris extinction spread terror throughout what remained of Council space. Species that had stayed neutral began broadcasting surrender messages. Military fleets refused orders to engage human forces. Some alien governments simply collapsed as their populations fled toward other galaxies. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding a task force of experimental vessels, received reports of these surrenders at his base on conquered Zelani territory. He read through them with cold interest. "Sir," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Brooks, "the hegemony of Kelt is offering complete surrender. They want to negotiate terms." Morrison deleted the message without responding. "We don't negotiate with Council species anymore. Amy, they made their choice 2 years ago." "But sir, the Kelt never participated in the attacks. They remained neutral." Morrison turned to look at her. His face had changed over the past 2 years. The easy smile was gone, replaced by something harder and colder. "They remained neutral while our people were being murdered. That makes them guilty too." On Earth, the human government had transformed into something unrecognizable. General Bobby Martinez now called himself Supreme Commander of Human Space. The old civilian leadership was gone, replaced by military officers who understood that this was a war for survival. Martinez stood in his command center, surrounded by displays showing human fleets advancing across the galaxy. Red markers showed Council worlds that had been destroyed. Blue markers showed worlds under human occupation. The map was mostly red and blue. Now Dr. Norton approached him with a concerned expression. Supreme Commander, we need to talk about Project Omega." "What about it?" "The stellar chain reaction is accelerating beyond our projections. We've triggered supernova in 47 star systems so far, and the effect is spreading." Martinez looked at her with interest. "Spreading how?" "The energy released by each supernova is causing instabilities in nearby stars. They're starting to go critical on their own. Our computer models suggest the reaction could eventually reach the galactic core. How long until that happens?" "Maybe 1,000 years, maybe less." Martinez was quiet for a moment, considering this information. "Doctor, are you telling me that our weapon could eventually destroy the entire galaxy?" "Yes, sir. Every star, every planet, every living thing." The Supreme Commander looked back at his strategic displays. "Good. Let the Council species know that betraying humanity carries the ultimate price." Dr. Norton stared at him in shock. "Sir, that includes us. Humans will die too. Not if we're smart about it. We have 1,000 years to find new galaxies to colonize. The Council species won't have that luxury." Meanwhile, in the far reaches of space, the last Council leaders were meeting in secret. Representatives from a dozen surviving species had gathered on a hidden station to plan one final desperate action. The Moravian delegate, whose species had opposed the war from the beginning, addressed the group. "We have one chance left. Our scientists have been working on something called a reality anchor. It can lock enemy ships out of faster-than-light travel." "How does that help us?" asked the surviving Zelani commander. "Human ships are faster and stronger than ours, even in normal space. Not if we can trap their entire fleet in one location and hit them with everything we have left. Every ship, every weapon, every species working together." The plan was desperate, but it was all they had. The reality anchor would take months to build and would require technology from all surviving Council races. But if it worked, they could trap the human fleet and destroy it with overwhelming numbers. What they did not know was that human intelligence had already detected their secret meetings. Captain Morrison's ships were already moving into position to monitor the construction project. Back on Earth, Supreme Commander Martinez received Morrison's reports with satisfaction. "Let them build their trap," he told his staff. "It will give us a chance to end this war once and for all." "Sir," asked Colonel Danny Wright, "what if their plan actually works?" Martinez smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Then we activate every stellar render device in the galaxy simultaneously. If humanity falls, we take everyone else with us. The final battle was coming, and everyone knew it. Council species worked frantically to complete their ultimate weapon, while human fleets gathered for what they promised would be the last battle of the war. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see which side would survive to inherit the stars. 6 months after the betrayal, the galaxy was learning to fear humanity. Commander Ryan Clark sat in his captain's chair aboard the human warship Retribution. His fleet of 30 ships approached the Zalani home system. To any observer, it looked like a suicide mission. The Zalani had over 300 warships defending their world. "Sir," said his weapons officer, Lieutenant Nancy Price, "enemy fleet is moving to intercept. They're broadcasting surrender demands." Ryan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Tell them we don't accept surrenders anymore. Tell them this is for Haven." The Retribution looked like a normal human warship from the outside, but Dr. Elizabeth Norton's teams had spent months rebuilding it from the inside. Every system had been upgraded with technology that pushed the limits of physics. The first Zalani ships opened fire at maximum range. Their energy beams struck the Retribution's shields and simply disappeared. The human ship kept coming. "Impossible," whispered the Zalani fleet commander on his bridge. "No shield can absorb that much energy." But human engineers had discovered something during their secret research. Energy could be converted into other forms and stored in special containers. The Zalani were not hurting the human ships. They were charging their weapons. Ryan's fleet returned fire. Each human ship carried weapons that had never been used in battle before. Quantum disruptors tore apart the atomic bonds holding enemy vessels together. Zalani ships simply fell apart like toys taken apart by invisible hands. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, the entire Zalani defense fleet was gone. 30 human ships had destroyed 300 alien vessels without losing a single craft. On Earth, General Bobby Martinez watched the battle reports with satisfaction. This was what he had been waiting for. After months of careful preparation, humanity was ready to show the galaxy what betrayal cost. Dr. Norton entered his office, carrying a small device that looked like a metal ball. "General, the first Void engine is ready for testing." Martinez looked at the device with interest. "That little thing? Don't let the size fool you, sir. This device can tear apart the fabric of space itself. Anything it touches simply stops existing. How big an area can it affect? In our computer simulations, one device could erase everything within a 50-mile radius. We're not sure what the upper limit might be." Martinez nodded. "Send it to Commander Clark. I want to see what it does to a real target." Meanwhile, Captain Jake Morrison had survived the massacre on Haven and been given command of a new experimental fleet. His ships used technology that seemed impossible. They could appear in multiple places at once using something called fractal jump drives. Morrison's target was a Thorgani research station deep in Council space. The crystal beings had helped plan the attack on Haven, and now they would pay for it. "Captain," said his navigator, Ensign Rick Stone, "the station is heavily defended. 50 ships minimum." "That's 50 more than we need," Morrison replied. "Begin fractal jump sequence." Space around the Thorgani station suddenly filled with human warships. Not copies or illusions, real ships existing in multiple locations at the same time. The Thorgani defenders found themselves surrounded by vessels that should not have been able to exist. The human attack was swift and brutal. Morrison's ships used weapons that turned the Thorgani's crystal bodies into dust. Within minutes, the research station was nothing but floating debris, but Morrison was not finished. His ships jumped to 17 other locations simultaneously. hitting Thorgani military bases across 3 star systems. By the time the attacks were over, the Thorgani military had effectively ceased to exist. News of the attacks spread quickly through Council space. Species that had participated in the betrayal began to panic. The humans were not just fighting back. They were winning with technology that seemed like magic. The Valdris, the ancient species that had ruled parts of the galaxy for millions of years, called for an emergency council session. Their representative, a being called Ancient Singer, addressed the remaining council members. "We have made a terrible mistake," Ancient Singer said. "The humans have revealed capabilities we never suspected. They have been preparing for this war while we thought they were our allies." The Moravian delegate, whose species had opposed the attack on humans, spoke up. "I warned you this would happen. Humans have always been survivors. Now you have given them a reason to survive by destroying everything else." But the Zelani ambassador was defiant. "They are still just one species. We are many. Together, we can overwhelm them with numbers." "With what numbers?" asked the Thorgani representative. "Half my fleet is gone. The Zelani Home Defense Force was destroyed. How many ships do you think we have left?" The answer was troubling. Council forces had lost over 60% of their military in 6 months of fighting. Human forces seemed to be getting stronger, not weaker. On Earth, Dr. Norton was working on her most ambitious project yet. In a secret facility buried deep underground, she and her team had built something called the Stellar Render Protocol. "The basic idea is simple," she explained to General Martinez. "Every star is a massive fusion reactor. If we can destabilize the fusion process, we can turn any star into a weapon." "You mean make it explode?" "Not explode, sir. We make it burn faster and hotter. The energy released can power our weapons for decades while destroying everything in nearby star systems." Martinez stared at the plans on his screen. "How many stars can we affect?" "In theory, all of them. Once we start the process, it spreads from star to star like a chain reaction." The general was quiet for a long moment. "Doctor, this weapon could destroy the entire galaxy." "Yes, sir. That's why we built it." Back in Council space, desperate alien leaders were trying to find a way to stop the human advance. They had sent peace negotiators, but humans refused to meet with them. They had offered to return all conquered human territory, but humans ignored them. The truth was becoming clear to even the most optimistic council members. Humans were not fighting to get their colonies back. They were fighting to make sure the betrayal could never happen again. And their definition of never again was becoming increasingly extreme. "Commander." Clark tested the Void engine on a small Zelani outpost. He watched from a safe distance as the device activated. Space around the outpost simply disappeared, leaving behind a perfectly spherical hole in reality. The outpost, along with 3 nearby moons, was gone forever. "Sir," said Lieutenant Price, "that was terrifying." Clark nodded. "Send a report to Earth. Tell them the Void engine works perfectly. Ask them to send us 100 more." The war was escalating beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Council species that had ruled for millions of years were watching their civilizations burn. Ancient worlds that had never known war were reduced to ash by human weapons that violated the laws of physics. And humanity was just getting started. General Martinez stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense platform, looking out at the construction yards. Hundreds of new warships were being built, each one more deadly than the last. The human industrial machine had shifted into total war production. "How long until the new fleet is ready?" he asked Colonel Danny Wright. 2 more months, sir. "The new ships will make our current fleet look like toys." Martinez nodded. The Council thought they had seen the worst of human capability. They had no idea what was coming next. In the darkness between stars, human fleets moved like ghosts. They appeared without warning, destroyed everything in sight, and vanished before help could arrive. Council worlds lived in constant fear, never knowing when death would fall from the sky. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humanity could be the best friend any species ever had, or the worst enemy they could imagine. The Council had chosen to make them enemies. Now everyone would pay the price. The planet Haven was beautiful. 3 purple suns hung in the sky, and the air smelled like flowers. Ships from all over the galaxy landed at the spaceport. The Festival of Unity had begun. Commander Lisa Harper walked through the crowds with a heavy heart. She wore her best uniform, but she felt like she was walking to her own funeral. Around her, humans laughed and talked with their alien friends. They had no idea what was coming. Admiral Carl Peterson stood near the main stage, talking with Governor Kate Sullivan from New Mars. "This is a good turnout," Kate said, watching the crowds. "I count representatives from 30 systems." Carl nodded, but something felt wrong. He had been a soldier too long not to trust his instincts. "Kate, have you noticed anything strange about the alien delegations?" Kate looked around. "Now that you mention it, they seem very organized. Usually these festivals are more relaxed." High above the planet, Council warships hung in space. They looked peaceful, just providing security for the festival. But inside each ship, weapons were being powered up. Boarding parties were getting ready. The trap was set. Captain Jake Morrison had arrived that morning with his ship. He walked through the festival grounds, enjoying the music and food from dozens of worlds. His crew was scattered around, finally getting some time off. Lieutenant Amy Brooks bought some sweet cakes from a Valdris vendor. "These are amazing," she told her. "Captain, try one." Jake smiled and took a bite. The cake tasted like honey and starlight. For a moment, he forgot about missing colonies and strange behavior. This was what the Council was supposed to be about. Different species sharing their best with each other. At exactly noon, the attack began. Lisa Harper was giving a speech about human contributions to galactic peace when the first explosions lit up the sky. Council warships that had been hiding behind the planet's moons suddenly appeared, their weapons firing down at the festival grounds. The crowd screamed and ran in all directions. Lisa dove behind the speaker's platform as energy beams cut through the air around her. The beautiful festival became a war zone in seconds. In orbit, human ships tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered 10-1. The Council had planned this perfectly. Human vessels that had come for a celebration found themselves facing the combined fleets of 8 alien races. Captain Morrison's ship, the New Horizon, was caught completely off guard. Jake ran toward the spaceport, trying to reach his vessel. Energy blasts from above turned buildings into ash around him. "Amy," he yelled, looking for his crew. He found Lieutenant Brooks helping wounded civilians into a bunker. "We need to get to the ship." "The spaceport is gone, Captain," Amy shouted back. "Direct hit 5 minutes ago." Jake looked where she pointed. The entire spaceport was a smoking crater. His ship, along with dozens of others, was destroyed. On the planet's surface, the killing continued. Council soldiers beamed down from their ships. They carried weapons designed to kill humans specifically. The energy blasts passed harmlessly through most alien species, but tore humans apart. Admiral Peterson tried to organize a defense, but it was hopeless. His security team had only light weapons meant for crowd control. The attackers had military-grade equipment. "All humans to the emergency shelters." Peterson yelled into his communicator. "This is not a drill." But there were too many attackers and not enough shelters. Humans died in the gardens where they had been enjoying alien music. They died in the meeting halls where they had been planning peaceful futures. They died in the medical tents where they had been helping injured aliens from previous accidents. Governor Kate Sullivan was shot down while trying to help children reach safety. Her last words were, "Why are they doing this?" Dr. Ben Taylor, Earth's top scientist, was executed while he knelt beside wounded Moravian delegates. He had spent his life creating medicines to help alien species. They killed him anyway. Lisa Harper managed to stay alive by hiding in the ruins of the speaker's platform. Around her, she could hear the systematic murder of her species. Council forces were going building by building, room by room, making sure no human escaped. She heard Zilani soldiers talking as they searched nearby. Command says leave no witnesses. This has to look like humans attacked first. What about the other species? Asked another voice. They will tell the story we want them to tell. The humans went crazy and attacked the festival. We had to defend ourselves. Lisa closed her eyes. This was worse than genocide. The council was going to blame humans for their own massacre. 3 hours later, the killing stopped. Haven was quiet, except for the sound of council ships leaving orbit. They had done what they came to do. Back on Earth, the first report started. Coming in, Admiral Peterson's aide, Colonel Danny Wright, burst into the command center. "Sir, we're getting emergency signals from Haven." The main screen showed chaos. Burning buildings, smoke, and bodies. So many bodies. "My God," whispered General Bobby Martinez, who had been called in from Planetary Defense. "What happened?" A wounded human survivor appeared on screen. "They attacked us," the man said, blood running down his face. "The council attacked us. Number. Warning, no reason. They killed everyone." More reports flooded in from across human space. Colony after colony was under attack. The assault on Haven had been just the beginning. While humanity's leaders were being murdered at the festival, Council. Fleets had struck at 43 human worlds. General Martinez took command as the highest-ranking officer still alive. "Get me casualty reports from all our colonies." The numbers were terrible. Millions of humans dead. Entire worlds burning. The Council had used humanity's own defensive information against them. Every weakness, every blind spot, they knew it. All because humans had trusted them. Dr. Elizabeth Norton arrived at Earth's command center, still wearing her lab coat. She ran the Advanced Weapons Research Division, projects so secret that even most military officers did not know about them. "General," she said, "I need to talk to you about the special projects." Martinez looked at her with tired eyes. "Doctor, unless you have something that can bring back the dead, I don't have time for research projects." "Sir, for the past 50 years, we've been developing weapons that were too dangerous to use. We kept them secret because we were afraid of how the Council might react." Martinez straightened up. "What kind of weapons?" "The kind that could end civilization, sir. We never imagined we might need them to save ours." Meanwhile, Captain Morrison and the survivors on Haven had found an old communication array that still worked. Jake managed to send a message to Earth. "This is Captain Morrison. Haven has fallen. Estimate 90% casualties among human personnel. Council forces withdrew after completing their mission. This was not a battle. This was an execution." He paused, looking at the bodies of friends around him. "Command, they're saying we attacked first. They're going to tell the galaxy that humans are the aggressors. Don't let them get away with this lie." The message reached Earth just as General Martinez was meeting with Dr. Norton about humanity's secret weapons. The general listened to Morrison's report, then turned to the doctor. "Show me everything we have," Martinez said. "Every weapon, every prototype, every insane idea that was too dangerous to build. Show me all of it." "Sir, some of these weapons could destroy entire star systems." Martinez looked at the reports still coming in from human colonies under attack. His people were dying while he talked. The council had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. "Doctor," he said quietly, "I don't want to destroy star systems. I want to destroy the species that live in them." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the New Horizon, watching the stars outside. His crew worked quietly around him. They had been patrolling this part of space for 3 months now. Everything seemed peaceful. Jake had been in space for 15 years. He remembered when humans first joined the Galactic Council. Back then, everyone was excited. Humans were finally part of something bigger than Earth. They had friends among the stars. The council was made up of 12 different alien races. The Shilani looked like tall, thin humans, but with silver skin. The Thorgani were made of living crystal that sparkled in the light. The Valdris were the oldest race in the galaxy. They had been building starships when humans were still living. In caves. For over 100 years, humans had been good members of the council. Human engineers built better weapons. Human doctors found new ways to heal alien diseases. Human soldiers fought in 3 big wars and helped win them all. Jake's communication officer, Lieutenant Amy Brooks, turned to him. "Captain, we're getting a message from Council Station." "Put it through." Jake said. The main screen showed Commander Lisa Harper. She was humanity's voice on the council. Lisa looked tired. Dark circles showed under her eyes. "Jake, I need to talk to you privately," Lisa said. "Switch to secure channel 7. Jake nodded to his crew. They changed the channel so no one else could hear. "What's wrong, Lisa?" Jake asked. Lisa looked around, making sure no one was watching her. "Something strange is happening here. The other council members are acting different." "Different how?" "They whisper in corners. They stop talking when humans walk by. Yesterday, I saw the Zelani ambassador meeting with 5 other species. When I tried to join them, they all left." Jake frowned. This did sound strange. The council had always been open with humans before. "There's more," Lisa continued. 3 human colonies have gone quiet in the past month. When rescue ships arrive, they find empty planets. No people, no bodies, nothing. A chill ran down Jake's back. What happened to the colonists? No one knows. The planets show signs of energy weapon attacks, but no council race admits to being there. Back on Earth, Admiral Carl Peterson sat in his office on Luna Station. Luna was Earth's moon, and it housed the biggest human military base in the solar system. Carl was reading reports that made his stomach hurt. The door chimed. "Come in," Carl said. Colonel Danny Wright entered and saluted. "Sir, you asked for the latest intelligence reports. What do we know about the missing colonies?" Danny sat down and opened his tablet. Colony 77 was the first to go dark. Population of 50,000. When our ships arrived, the whole city was gone. Just empty ground where buildings used to be. And the others? Same thing, sir. New Geneva had 80,000 people. New Tokyo had 90,000. All gone without a trace. Carl stood and walked to his window. Earth hung in space below, blue and beautiful. "Someone is killing our people, Danny. Someone with advanced weapons. The question is who, sir?" Carl nodded. That was the question that kept him awake at night. Meanwhile, Lisa Harper continued her investigation on Council Station. She had learned to move quietly through the halls. Her years as a soldier, before becoming a diplomat, helped her now. Late one night, she followed the Zelani ambassador to a restricted section of the station. Through a door left slightly open, she could hear voices speaking in the common galactic language. "The humans grow too strong," said a voice she recognized as the Thorgani representative. "Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are better." "They have 47 colonies now," said another voice. In 50 years, they will have 100. In 100 years, they will rule the galaxy. Lisa's blood turned cold. They were talking about humans as a threat. The Zelani ambassador spoke. The ancient protocols are clear. When a species becomes too dangerous, action must be taken. But they are our allies, said a fourth voice. Lisa thought it might be from the peaceful Moravian race. Today they are allies, the Thorgani replied. Tomorrow they will be masters. We have seen this pattern before with other young races. It always ends the same way. Then we are agreed? The Zelani asked. Operation Cleansing will proceed as planned. Lisa heard the sound of agreement from multiple species. She backed away. From the door, her heart pounding. She had to warn Earth. She made it back to her quarters and immediately tried to send a message to Admiral Peterson. But the communication system was blocked. She tried again with different codes. Nothing worked. Lisa realized she was trapped. The Council was planning something terrible for humanity, and she could not warn anyone. Back on his ship, Jake Morrison received new orders. Lieutenant Brooks, what does Command want us to do? Amy read from her screen. We're ordered to patrol the Vega system. Look for any signs of the missing colonists. Jake nodded. Set course for Vega. Maximum speed. As the New Horizon jumped to faster-than-light travel, Jake did not know that across the galaxy, Council fleets were moving into position. Hidden bases were being prepared. Weapons were being charged. The Festival of Unity was coming in 2 weeks. It was held every 5 years on the neutral planet Haven. Every important human in the galaxy would be there. It would be the perfect time to strike Dot in her quarters on Council Station. Lisa Harper sat alone in the dark. She had spent her whole life believing in the dream of galactic peace. Now she knew it was all a lie. The Council did not see humans as friends. They saw them as a problem that needed to be solved. And Lisa knew that when the Council solved problems, they solved them permanently. She looked out her window at the stars and wondered if she would ever see Earth again.